3,181. That's the number of days since Scrap Mechanic released into early access on Steam back in January of 2016. 1,612. That's the number of days since Survival Mode was added in May of 2020. 858. That's the number of days since the last content update for Scrap Mechanic. In that update, 10 new challenges were added in Challenge Mode, and a tutorial was added to Survival Mode. 562. That's the number of days since the last devlog, which showed off some new bots coming to Survival, some new points of interest, a few new crafting stations, and a few other things. 137. That's the number of days since the last communication from the developers. And it came in this tweet back on May 21st of this year. Hi Mechanics, we are still here. We went down a rabbit hole to try and fix the physics and lag. Maybe the number one request from you Mechanics. It ended up being a lot of work, but we think we're onto something now. That 6-second clip, combined with the fact that there's been no communication since then, should have been a big red flag to me to temper my optimism about the game actually getting updated this year. But despite that, I came back to Scrap Mechanic Survival Mode about a month ago, made a bunch of videos, streamed the game a couple times, started some new worlds, played some co-op with my kids, even tried the Fant mod, and I was just having fun with the game. But over the last week or two, I kind of took a step back and just got a reality check of what's actually going on. And what I think that short clip showed was the big problem that's the developers are having with the game. So of course that clip showed that they're trying to work on optimization, and anybody that's played the game, whether you've played just creative mode or you've played survival or both, you know that optimization quickly becomes an issue once you just start building any kind of complicated buildings or vehicles or anything like that. Any kind of, if you have a bunch of moving parts in one small area, you're just going to start having lag and FPS drops, even on pretty strong machines. So the fact that the developers are having to work on that after 8.5 years is very concerning. And obviously the reason for that is they decided to go with a custom game engine, and it's a very small team working on the game. I checked their LinkedIn page today just to see what it said. Not sure how up to date it is, but it said they only have like 2 to 10 people on the game. And if you actually go look at any of their social medias, you'll notice there's only a couple of people that are listed as developers on the game or working on the game. So I think there's a pretty small team involved with it. And combining that with the fact that they went with a custom game engine, which probably made sense at the time because this game, Scrap Mechanic, is like no other game. I've never played any other game similar to it in terms of all the physics that's involved in it with the moving pieces, the bearings, the pistons, and all the cool things you can build in it. So it probably made sense at the time back in 2016 or whenever. I'm sure they started developing it before that to go with a custom game engine. But the problem with going with a custom game engine is there's really no support for it outside of the team that's worked on it. Had they gone with Unreal Engine or Unity or Godot, they would have had the ability to just kind of find outside help, or maybe just go in forums or just reach out to fellow game developers and get some help on what the issues are with their optimization. But building your own custom game engine, which was, like I said, the choice they made back when they started developing the game and they've stuck with it, has probably resulted in a very small number of people that can actually help with the game and help work on it, because anybody who knew that they would bring on would have to get up to speed on the engine and just try to work it out. And I think it's pretty clear at this point that the game engine is probably going to struggle no matter what. And it's for that reason that, and a couple others that I'll talk about, that I just I've kind of shifted my outlook on, not only do I think the game will not get updated this year, which I originally thought it would, because back when I came back to it, I'm like, we have 4 months left. It's been a while since they showed off the little clip that had the optimization that they were working on. They've shown off a ton of things. It looks like survival mode's almost finished from everything they've showed in the devlogs and also on some tweets over the last couple of years. And it looked like maybe they just had to do some optimization to finish the game and then pump out this next update for survival mode and hopefully being the 1.0 for the game. But I just don't think that's the case anymore. Not only do I not think the game's going to get updated this year, I honestly would not be surprised if the game is never like technically finished. And when I say technically finished, I'm sure at some point they'll probably put out the Chapter 2 update, but will it actually be in a playable state? Will it be complete? Will it be a fun experience for everybody that's playing it? And I'm just starting to have my doubts that that's ever going to happen. If you've looked at the things that they're going to be adding, I've done some videos for it. You can check my channel. There's some videos I did back earlier this year where I was kind of showing off the new things they were going to be adding to the game. They got a bunch of new bots coming. They have some new points of interest. They have new crafting new crafting stations. They said they were going to be working on balancing and stuff like that. But all these new things are going to be added. If they're not working right now, if the game is poorly optimized now, even if they've done some work on it and they're adding all this new stuff, how is the game going to function? How's it going to function on a mid to low range PC, which is probably what most of the people playing the game have. Most people don't have a brand new PC to play this game. And even on a brand new I have like a relatively new PC that's really top end, and the game still struggles, especially when I'm playing co-op and I'm not the host. And even in some of the worlds I have that just have a lot of stuff built on them, once I get close to some of those buildings, like I get near my big farm and the game just starts lagging and stuttering and just has some hiccups. I've had rubber banding on some of the worlds that I played on. So I'm very pessimistic at this point that they're actually gonna be able to optimize it while adding all this new stuff. And then on top of that, even if they do get it working, what's the chances that everything they're gonna add is actually balanced? The game, like I said, has had pretty much nothing added to it since the original survival came out. The only thing they've added was that tutorial back in the 0.6 update when they added they updated the challenge mode. They've added a chemical container, they added some cotton seeds, and other than that, they may have added one or two things, but there were nothing major that's been added since then to survival, no content as an example. So I just really have a hard time believing that they're going to get the optimization working and have everything that's added balanced properly with no bugs. Normally for early access games, you do an update every so often. Maybe it's quarterly, ideally it'd be monthly, but worst case it'll be quarterly or maybe every 6 months, maybe once a year if you just really want to slow walk it. But Scrap Mechanic has just had no major survival updates since it released and since it was added 4.5 years ago. And adding all this content at one time just leads me to believe that it's just not going to be balanced and there's going to be tons of bugs with it. And if it took this long to add it, even if it is optimized, will the game even be playable? And will they have any incentive to finish it? Because that's another reason that I think I just have doubts that this game's ever going to be what I really want it to be and probably what many of you want it to be. It seems like the developers, Axolot Games, have no incentive to finish this game. Generally, when you release a game into early access, it's because you want feedback from the players, but it's usually because you also need the game to be funded so you can finish the development because there's just not enough money to finish the development. And with this game, it just doesn't seem to be the case because Axolot Games published Raft, which was a very successful survival game. And funny enough, Raft released a couple of years after Scrap Mechanic, went in early access for a couple of years, got an update, I think, every 6 months to a year, and has been fully released for at least a year or two at this point. And all that happened. And of course, they benefited from that. I believe Axolot Games also helps with they help with other games like outsourcing. I think I've heard. They have another game that's on their website that they're advertising they're working on. Very little information known about it. So I think at this point, if this was a normal small developer, they'd probably be looking to finish the game so they could get extra sales for it and move on to the next game. But it just seems like there's no financial incentive for them to finish this game. And with that combined with the fact that they just are taking their sweet old time updating it, and I'm sure they're working hard on it. I'm not saying they're not working hard, and I'm sure I don't envy the fact that they have to optimize the game because it's not an easy thing. Game development's not easy. It's not something that I can do. It's not something that I ever want to do. And a little bit of time I spent just making mods for games was just a lot of work. So I don't envy the position they're in, but I just don't see a future where survival mode is ever going to be what I saw in that original trailer for the game, where you're building this huge farm, the bots are coming in, and it was just it just wowed me and I was like, this is the game that I want to play. I want to jump into this game and play it. And I did. I put over 800 hours into it. Almost all of that has been survival mode. I still like the game. I rank it among my favorite games, even though there's very little content in it. But I'm kind of at the point where I'm just going to temper my optimism and just kind of lower the bar for what I expect going forward. And if the game never fully releases, or if it kind of has a half-ass release, that's just how it's going to be. I'll enjoy it for whatever it is. But I just think it's time to kind of just come to the realization that this game is it might never be finished. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there. I'd love to know what you have what you think about that. I'm sure a lot of you agree with me because during my live streams when I was talking about this, it seemed like a lot of people were also thinking the same thing. It's like, how can there be mods out there like the Crashlander mod or the Fant mod where these mods were developed by one person, maybe a small team of people, and they've done so much in the time that the developers for Scrap Mechanic, who have obviously been working on stuff but have not put it into the game. It's just kind of mind-blowing that those things have happened and there's been no updates for Scrap Mechanic Survival. So that's kind of where I am with it. I still plan on playing the game for now and just seeing what happens with it. And, you know, hopefully I'm wrong. It'd be great if I'm wrong. I've been wrong in the past, and I would love to be wrong. More than anything else, I would love to be wrong about this. I'd love to publish this video and next week have the update drop and make me look like a fool, and I'll absolutely enjoy it and eat my words and be happy about it. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the future of Scrap Mechanic. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.